So Opportunities came out in EMI, and it got less radio play than West End Girls had got the year before. And it got to number 116 or something, and that was that. And we weren't very happy about it. Anyway, we decided that we'd re-record West End Girls as our next single for EMI. It was such a lot of hang on it, let's face it, I hadn't been a hit, it would have been dropped probably.
I think it was Stephen Haig's idea to slow it down. I'm not sure. But we wanted it to sound more moody and lush and bigger.
Sometimes you're better off dead. There's a gun in your hand that's pointing at your head. You think you're mad, too unstable, kicking in chairs and knocking down tables in a restaurant in a West End town. Call the police, there's a madman around, running down underground to a dive bar in a West End town. In a West End town, a dead end world, the East End boys and West End girls. In a West End town, a dead end world, the East End boys and West End girls. West End girls.
Chris and I used to go to a dive bar in Chinatown. It's still there. I don't know if it's still called the Dive Bar. It used to be called the Dive Bar. And it was a great place. No one used to go there. It was all Formica and a bit smelly. And there was some barman there who used to draw pictures of camp icons. And we used to love this place. Chris and I used to drink bottles of pills. And meanwhile, the record player in the corner would be playing the soundtrack of Cabaret or, kind of Barbara Streisand Live or something like that. It had a great sort of aesthetic down there. So when I was writing the words West End Girls, it was meant to be that dive bar.
Too many shadows, whispering voices, faces on posters, too many choices. If, when, why, what, how much have you got? Have you got it, do you get it? If so, how often? Which do you choose, a hard or soft option?
And also I remember when I lived in Tottenham when I was a student, when I first came to London, we used to clatter down the escalators in our huge platform heel shoes to go to Shagarama's, the first gay club I ever went to, in 1973. And there was something of that in it as well, like remembering that excitement of going to the West End. And it always feels a bit dangerous as well, to feel slightly scared, kind of wishing you weren't going really.
In a West End town, a dead end world, the East End boys and West End girls. In a West End town, a dead end world, the East End boys and West End girls. West End girls. West End girls.
I also always liked, although it sounds pretentious, The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot, famous poem. And what I particularly like about it was the way it brought in different voices and different parts of history into the same poem. And it sort of drifts into it. Suddenly it's a conversation between two old women on the top of a bus. Suddenly the man in the pub is saying, "Good night, ladies, please, it's time, good night, ladies." And all that stuff. I love the idea of that. So I brought in different voices into West End Girls, like, "Just you wait till I get you home."
You got a heart of glass or a heart of stone. Just you wait till I get you home. We've got no future, we've got no past. Here today, built to last in every city and every nation, from Lake Geneva to the Finland station. And a West End town, a dead end world, the East End boys and West End girls. Oh, West End town, a dead end world, East End boys, West End girls. West End girls.
The record company didn't want to release it. I don't think they thought it was the right single at all. But we were very sure that we loved the record, so we sort of put our foot down.
And it just had this gradual climb. It was a funny time. That was quite scary in a way. It felt scary, the whole thing. Because it entered the charts really low again, just like the last one, like number 120 or something. And then suddenly it was number 84. Then it went to like 48 or something like that. And Gary Davis started to play it on Radio 1. It made a big issue out of it. And we went into the top 40, number 38 or something like that. Suddenly we had to do TV shows. And we didn't have an act. And I didn't know what to do. I just didn't know what to do. And you feel very self-conscious when the camera goes on. You're just going to stand there and mime the song. And I remember the first time we did Top of the Pops, I felt sick with nerves doing it. And I remember we were introduced by Steve Wright, who said we were the most unusual group or something. I didn't like what he said about us, really.
Most unusual song from an unusual band is the Pet Shop Boys and West End Girls.
I swatched it 2 days later and I was absolutely appalled. I thought we looked awful. I thought we looked really awful. Particularly me. I thought my movements looked so stiff. But we just didn't do anything.
I decided to mime to the bass part, so I looked very static because my right hand wasn't doing anything at all. It looked like I was playing with 2 fingers, which just made it out of the sleeve of my jacket or whatever.
I was horrified. I felt tearful with horror at what we looked like. I just thought we didn't look glamorous enough or something. And also we didn't do enough. It was generally felt we didn't do enough. You know, what is the act? They don't do anything. They just stand there and he mimes the song and occasionally makes a little hand gesture. The other one just mimes the bass line, doesn't even look at the camera. It took us months, if not years, to realise that it was what we did.
There were a lot of pop groups at the time and they all used to jump around like they were really happy and stuff, and I thought, well, we're not doing that, you know, and we're not a good time party band. If you think of when Paul Young used to go on Top of the Pops, that's how most groups were. They had the singer and then they had 3 backing singers and then they had a guitarist and a keyboard player. And the keyboard player was used to sort of make tragic looks into the camera when it was on him and play with lots of fingers, and it was all very muso-y and everything. So we knew we didn't want to do that.
Chris has always been fascinated by minimalism anyway, in architecture, music, art, everything. And it seemed it gave us a kind of minimalist ethos in terms of our performance that made us stand out from everyone else.
Off the top to number 3, Merry Christmas everyone, Shakin' Stevens. Still at 2, Saving All My Love for You, Whitney Houston. And that means we have a brand new number 1 in Britain this week, and it's a new number 1 from a new band.
They are the Pet Shop Boys and this is West End Girls. Here they are.
They phoned up the night before and said, yes, you're going to be number 1 tomorrow morning. And Chris wasn't there, Chris was at home or something. And I phoned him up and he said, oh God, I suppose it means we've got to do Top of the Pops again, does it? He didn't seem very excited about it. But actually we were dead excited, really. And then when we did Top of the Pops again that week, just as the camera was moving over to us, Chris hissed at me, don't look triumphant. And so we didn't, we were just minimal as usual.
Answering questions from fans, November 1996.
Hello everybody. Oh God. Chris, what are Neil's worst vices?
Oh,
and his
do we
best
really have
qualities?
vices?
No, we don't answer
Ignore
this.
it. We don't do those, you know we officially don't do those answers.
Neil, what are Chris's most upsetting vices and the loveliest aspects of his character? I like that word, loveliest. That's from Mari in Italy. Well, Mari, we officially don't do those. We used to, didn't we, right at the beginning?
That's all you ever used to get asked, you know, by like Bravo magazine.
Or even Demon Smash Hits.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely standard Joe question. And actually there's something slightly embarrassing about it, really.
It's all a bit personal, isn't it?
Yeah, the official answer is Neil is too bossy and Chris is too moody. That's the official. I can't remember what typically I can't remember what the good qualities are. Next. I think we were on such a roll with West End Girls gradually being a hit all over the place. It was quite interesting because at that point our next single didn't do that well. The single after that, Let's Spend Lots of Money, didn't really do particularly well, did okay. Did well, better in America actually. But then we sort of climbed back up again with Suburbia.
Let's take a ride along with the dogs tonight in suburbia. You can hide along with the dogs tonight in suburbia, in suburbia, in suburbia.
I remember the feeling that the whole thing was very unreal and I'd kind of lost footing in reality. A dream world had just taken over. I still feel like that. The whole thing seems very unreal. Neil doesn't feel like this at all. I think Neil finds the whole thing perfectly natural and can deal with it.
Listening back to unfinished songs, August 1996.
Is the champagne cold? Should we have some?
Do you think?